Figured I'd shoot a quick little video of what I got going on for the motor mounts on this 12 valve Cummins to go into this 1989 square body Chevy truck. These are the little clamshell style bushings I'm going with. There's your part number. I've already taken this one apart. The way these things work, when you take them off, you obviously have your little factory boo-boo looking one in there compared to the new one. But whenever you go to take these apart, you're gonna have to drill out these rivets, all three corners. Here's one that I have not drilled out yet. You can still see the little rivet part right there and all the corners. You got to drill those out. That way you can remove this. Once you remove that, you'll see your old factory one, a little worn out. This is the better upgrade. Go ahead and get, like I said, that same part number I just showed you a second ago. And the best way I figured out on how to do it is to use a step bit. I think these are from Harbor Freight. So that's all you really need to swap them out. There is the mounts that I got. I can't remember if I got them off of Summit or eBay. Things come by so cheap. Just easier just to buy one already ready to go instead of trying to fabricate one. Now, what I did read on another post, which is what I'm going to wind up doing first. Once I have these fully assembled, I'm going to mount it back to the factory bracket right here. I still got to unbolt those two, but I'm going to unbolt these and assemble everything up against the motor. Then after I have everything against the motor, I'm going to set the engine down in place. And if I remember correctly, somebody had made a post about it, and they went, I want to say, 1 3/4 inches further back on this mount. So I'm going to set it in, see how the motor sets in it. I'm trying to keep the factory mechanical fan connected and everything in line, and to where all I got to do is just, cut out my core support to be able to put the intercooler, radiator, that whole shebang up in there. But if I remember right, the guy said he was able to fit everything in there by moving these engine mounts back 1 3/4 inches, I want to say. I'll have to pull at the post, try to find it. But that's why I'm going to set that further back and just see where it falls, see how I like it. And then all I got to do is just, re-drill the hole wherever I need it to, wherever these set down at. And it looks like we've got plenty of room down here too to move back. So we're going to play it by ear, see where we can get, see if we got to cut into this or not. I know everybody says you have to, but there's been some people that say you don't have to, and they're able to get away with it. This is also a 2-wheel drive, not a 4-wheel drive, so those of you that know a 4-wheel drive is going to have, solid axle instead of this independent suspension stuff. It's been a long day, so excuse my pausing and trying to think. But that's what we're working with. I figured I'd give you a little update and show you how I'm doing it. So I got y'all an update. I started doing this Cummins swap probably about 4 days ago, and not as easy as I had hoped. What's been getting me was doing the engine mounts. Earlier in the video I showed y'all the bushings and everything. It's all in there now, but man, I had a friend of mine, Sean, come over and give me a hand with this. It took both of us fighting with pry bars, trying to get them not bushings, but trying to get these mounts to go back in place. It was hell, I'm not going to lie. It is fully possible doing it. I got those fancy new bushings, got the bracket. It's in there, but it was hell. Between using the gantry and the jack stand underneath there to lift the tail housing of the transmission, just everything, it wasn't easy, but we got it. Something else that was hindering me was this whole piece. It's pretty common for people to cut it out, brace it up. I'm probably not going to brace it up right there. I'm actually going to build a whole new brace up here in the front that's going to go, that way, bolt in from the side. That way it's a lot more thicker and heavy duty than this thinner metal. But between that and the brake booster over here, I don't know if I got that on camera, But that brake boost that was over here, it was hitting my fuel filter housing. So I had to take that off. Now I got a full hydro boost setup coming in from an 80s model 1-ton Chevy truck. I just went down to AutoZone and bought all the parts I needed. So when they all come in, I'm going to assemble it, put it all together, show y'all how it's all going for me. Long story short, right now that the motor's set in place, I need to get my drive shaft lined up, find out how short I got to cut it down and everything else, which I'm not going to cut it down. I'm going to take somebody to take care of all that. But in the meantime, I have to get the transmission lined up exactly where it's going to be, so I got to build a cross member for it. So that's where we go down to this piece of angle iron I have. Went ahead and measured out on the holes of the old cross member from the Dodge. Found out the distance in between, just rough estimate and everything. And then found out the width of the frame on the Chevy. Cut out a piece of 1/4 inch, was that 2x2 angle iron. Drilled out 2 holes. I'm going to go bolt it up to the bottom of the transmission bracket with where the bushing is. Once that's bolted up, that's where I'm going to lift it up more with the jack, find out where I need it. It should come flat up against the frame. Once it's flat up against the frame, I'm going to just take my drill and drill in, 1, 2 holes, whatever, and just bolt that bracket to the frame. That way everything's bolted together, held in place. Unfortunately, this is all kind of like a rush job because we have the Mud and Axe coming up for, March 15th to the 19th I've always been talking about. And I think it's, March 7th? So I got to get this truck fully together, running, and ready to tow Texas Toot out there. So that's why I'm rushing everything how I am. Later on, I'm going to go back and I'm going to build a full subframe suspension on this thing and make it a 4-wheel drive. But till then, this is what we're having to work with. That's everything I can think of right now to tell y'all. I'll give you more updates once I get more stuff put together.